Okay, everybody, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Sunday. It is a very big weekend for the Seattle Seahawks and their fans. We are getting in some training camp action from the Seattle Seahawks. They are kicking things off at the VMAC. Things are getting real now. Yesterday was the first day. I was going to make a video last night talking about some of the things that we heard, but was not able to. Had some things going on last night, but thought I'd go ahead and just do it this morning. Not really a lot else going on right now, and I didn't really have anything else planned for right now anyway, so why not? Of course, I say that, and we might get a Devin Witherspoon extension any minute now, or it might already be done by the time I publish this video, but so be it. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So things started yesterday, like I said, went on for a couple of hours, and we got a lot of good information. Now, some of this stuff is just kind of like fun anecdotes, more so than anything that we can learn a lot from. But nevertheless, after a long off season of not a lot, anything that you can get is appreciated. So let's take a look at some of the things passed along by the various beat reporters. Greg Bell, Curtis Allen was there. I know that Corbin's not there yet. Curtis Crabtree was there. Nemhauser was there. So shout out to all the guys doing good work over at the VMAC to start us off. So one thing that's definitely noticeable, one thing that's kind of a recurring thing is the presence of Hard Knocks. And you see this picture here from this video that Greg Bell took. You've got a couple of a couple of camera crew members following Darnold onto the field. So Hard Knocks is being filmed. You can see it here from Curtis. They're up on the hill here, so they are a presence on the on this training camp, and hopefully it doesn't become a negative one. The good news is that they're going to be done before the season starts, so probably not going to be obtrusive, even if it's probably not optimal. All right, so speaking of Curtis Allen, he had a lot of great stuff yesterday. He was there, and he was passing along a lot of good little bits of information here and there. First things first, Devin Witherspoon. Um, we know he's happy. We know he's chill. We know that there seems to be a sense that things are going to go his way in the next day or two. Just walked onto the field with his helmet. This was yesterday afternoon near practice start, warming up with helmet on and usual intensity. And he blitzed on a play, and according to a couple things I saw, would have had a sack if not for the fact that you don't hit the quarterback in padless practice. You don't ever really hit the quarterback when you're in practice, period. But the point I'm trying to say is he was practicing with his typical enthusiasm. So it sure seems like either he's not thinking about the contract stuff, or he knows the contract is just about to come down. And at the very least, what we can say is that it doesn't seem like he's allowing this to be an issue, which is always great news. So Witherspoon, fully engaged, ready to go, ready to have that final ascension to the elite of the elite at his position that I think will come this year. So good news there. Some other updates from Curtis Allen. One of the players taking punts. Obviously, we have Rashid Shaheed to do a lot of that this year, but Torrey Horton also doing some punt stuff, so that indicates that he's in a very good place with his rehab if we trust it enough for him to take punts. And Rashad Rochelle, very unlikely to make the team, also was doing some punt work, so notable. All right, guys, let's take a quick break here to talk a little bit about Prize Picks, currently the #1 sports pick app in America. The app is very easy to use. Check it out to my left here. You can do player picks, where you just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Or you can pick teams, where you pick winners, spread, or total on any game or fight. The app is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Right now, they have a great offer. You can play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you have to do is use code HMA when you sign up. It's a brand new offer. Best time possible to get on the app. So get on over there and get to winning that first lineup. So remember, Prize Picks, code HMA. Download the app today, and remember to always gamble responsibly. So, speaking of special teams, Curtis Allen did note that even though it was the first day of training camp, coverage on punts and kicks and defenders tracked downfield all the way to the returner every time. This is not something that you see in every training camp, but it is something that you see in this camp. That is part of this team's effort to be the best special teams unit in football, that they have their guys exhibiting that level of effort, even on something as minor and seemingly insignificant as a practice special teams rep. So that's what it takes, man. That's what it takes. And you see that kind of thing show up on the football field, I think. Now, there was some really exciting stuff with Jadarian Price today, and I do believe, and by the way, it's Jadarian. I'm trying to integrate that into my vocabulary now. We got some really good stuff here. Curtis Allen passed some stuff along, so did Hawk Blogger. There was some really good stuff going on with Price today in practice. I'm sorry, yesterday. But Price was working with Darnold in warm-up drills, and Halani was with the ones. So that is one thing to note. But generally speaking, I think the veterans are always going to be with the ones in the early phases of training camp. And as camp goes along, the new players, the younger players, the ones without experience earn it. They don't just get handed anything. So I wouldn't read too much into that right now, but the general sense of Jadarian Price was that he looked really good. There was this one play, and Curtis Allen describes it in this tweet, but Hawk Blogger mentioned this too, leaked out as a safety valve and caught a bullet from Darnold that wasn't quite on target and streaked down the sideline. And the way that Hawk Blogger put it when he talked about this play, I believe it's the same play. It was not a very good throw from Darnold. It's the kind of throw that you would expect to not be caught because it's not an easy catch. And Price brought it in and then made stuff happen after the catch. So there was a general sense that Jadarian Price was good. Now, I did see a video where he had a couple of drops, but there was also another play where he showed some explosion at the line of scrimmage, busting through and going to the open field. So there was a mix, don't get me wrong. It's not all perfect yet, and you wouldn't expect it to be for a rookie, but there's a little bit of gas here with a couple of these plays. And, Hawk Blogger is a guy who was not enamored with Jadarian Price pre-draft or even when we drafted him, but he said that what he saw yesterday was the best he's ever seen from him, incorporating the OTAs and minicamp that have led up to this training camp. So good stuff there. The backup offensive line, the twos on the offensive line for the light scrimmage, and again, we don't necessarily need to read into this too much. You've got Josh Jones, you've got Cable Dew, you've got Christian Haynes, you've got Amari Kite, all pretty reasonable. No Richmond, no Mason Richmond. That's a little bit interesting. But really interesting would be that Olu is with the twos. Now, again, it's way too early to read too much into anything. It could just be kind of a opportunity to it just could be kind of an opportunity to mix things up. But despite the fact that you would kind of expect this team to be looking for another center if they're looking to trade Oluwatimi, like we talked about, like Brady Henderson guessed that we might. It seems like we're still gonna ride with Olu as the backup. So when it comes to training camp stuff, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. Now, there is a third string offensive line, don't get me wrong, and maybe we'll learn some stuff from what's going on there. I've heard some people say Richmond's doing snaps, but for the moment, Oluwatimi is still the backup center, and that indicates to me the team is probably more likely to keep him because it doesn't seem like they can find another guy that they're going to keep who can snap it unless it's Richmond, and I haven't heard anything about that one way or the other yet. Okay. So that other than that, it's the expected backup offensive line. The Cable Do thing is cool because it'd be really cool if he ended up being a guy because he's very talented. He just needs to actually earn some trust. Bud Clark taking reps with the twos and the threes at safety. And that's also kind of interesting because, like we talked about, Bud Clark, a lot of nickel corner stuff with him. A lot of people think he's more of a nickel corner, not so much of a safety in the NFL. but giving him the chance to play with safety. Now, he is with the 2s and the 3s. Again, rookies tend to have to earn their way up, so you would expect other players to be taking first-team reps at safety. Now, some of the other running back stuff that I want to talk about, because I talked about Jadarian earlier. We had Jacardia Wright doing some stuff next to Milrow. And you also had Emmanuel Wilson working next to Milrow. Now, the Milrow stuff, there was one bad throw. This throw actually being described here where he threw behind Emmanuel Wilson behind the line of scrimmage. There was another throw where he actually had a pretty good rip up the seam, I think it was. So mixed bag for Milrow. Definitely looking for him to ramp it up a little bit more, but mixed bag on day one. But the thing I want to talk about here really is Emmanuel Wilson. Hawk Blogger was also really high on what he saw from Emmanuel Wilson. Saw some explosion from him, saw him catch some passes and turn up field, saw him do good stuff that indicates he might be more than just a generic power back. So Emmanuel Wilson, definitely a name to watch for here. I know there are some people who said he's not going to make the team, but I'm getting the indication the team kind of likes what he has and they're willing to ride with it for a little bit here. Rashid Shaheed, no physical issues there. Not that anything was expected, but he was wearing a leg sleeve on his left leg. The chemistry with Darnold is apparent. This is what it's all about. If the chemistry with Darnold kicks in this season, Shaheed's going to do so much more than he did last year, and he's going to be such a big boon to this offense. So great to hear. The safeties that were working with the ones today were Okada, Love, and DeAnthony Bell. And don't forget about DeAnthony Bell. A lot of people do. And from what I heard, DeAnthony Bell looked actually very good today. He's a longtime NFL veteran. He's really good on special teams. He might take priority on this team over some players that we don't think he takes priority over, like even a Nehemiah Pritchett or an Andre Fuller, because he can do nickel corner, he can do safety, he can do special team stuff. And he's proven, not proven to be a great player, but proven to be an adept one. Drake Thomas was with Ernest Jones as well. Now, that's not surprising. Tyrese Knight remains the first linebacker off the bench. Although, keep an eye on him. I don't think we've heard the last of Tyrese Knight as a Seahawk. Witherspoon and Job took all the cornerback snaps with the starters, so they are, as of right now, the players that we expected. And again, I'm sorry, not Bud Clark. Julian Neal will have the opportunity to play for that other corner role with Job, but I think it's going to be a little while before that happens. Jadarian Price with the 2s turns a run to the left with nothing into a reverse course to the right. I think Hawk Blogger mentioned this play, and this is also one of the Emmanuel Wilson plays that Hawk Blogger was hyping up. Quick inside move to make a defender miss and ran to daylight. So it's obviously a little bit of a dicey season coming up with these running backs because we don't totally know what we got. But on day one of training camp, things looked good. Bo Stevens was playing right guard with the 3s. So he is starting at the very bottom here, and he's going to have to work his way up. Now, I believe he will work his way up. I believe that he is likely going to take Christian Haynes' spot and push Haynes off the team either by trade or by release. But he is starting with the 3s, so we're not going to get a great impression of what's going on there. I know that, I think it was, I want to say Nemhauser, who pointed out Stevens had one rep where he looked really good climbing up in space, which is great because that's obviously very important in this offense. And it's something that is worth watching because while Stevens has a lot of experience in zone, he's not a very good athlete. So Bo Stevens, having a rep like that stands out is something that we're going to hang on to for the time being. We also saw Peely and Morris get some reps with the 1s when Leo and Reed were off the field. So again, too early to read a ton into it, but Peely and Morris are 2 guys that are kind of on the fringe of this roster. So if they're getting reps with the 1s, that's a solid indication of where the team sees them, I guess. A bunch of reps with the 2s on D, which included Neal, so he's already up on the 2s. Riley Mills running with the 2s. O'Connell and Tyrese were the 2s at linebacker. So that would be a vote of confidence in my theory that O'Connell's going to be the 4th linebacker. And then you had Jamie Sheriff at edge, and Sheriff might be the guy that ends up taking that 5th edge spot, surprisingly, over not just a free agent signing, but guys like Jared Ivey. Apparently, Sheriff had multiple good plays today rushing the passer and looked good to the eyes of a couple different people. So Jamie Sheriff's definitely one to watch for here. He may end up making this team, and he may end up making an impact on this team as a fifth edge. Cannot be ruled out. Then after all that, we got some comments from McDonald himself. He spoke a little bit about some of the things going on with his team right now. So just to quickly round up the few things he went over. He did confirm that Eamon ankle injury is the same injury from the Super Bowl. So clearly they were hoping that he would be able to beat it without the surgery. But at this point, they decided to just have the surgery. Apparently, it was sometime last week. So it was the best thing for him now and in the long run to get this taken care of. He insisted that it was a minor thing. But when he was asked if he expects Eamon to play in the opener, he said, I don't know. Now, I'm choosing to read that as McDonald just being coy, like he usually is with this stuff, if he can get away with it. But if you want to read this as him potentially being in some kind of a danger of missing games this year because of this surgery, then you can do that. And that would be frustrating and disappointing on a couple different levels. He's very important. And also, just beyond that, it felt like this might have been avoidable, and maybe they waited a little too long on the surgery if he ends up missing the opening of the season because of this. I mean, remember, he is a very young player. I don't think that he can skip training camp and not be affected by it. But regardless, I believe that McDonald is just keeping things vague because that's what he likes to do. And in this position, that's probably what you should do. Now, he was asked about the Witherspoon contract, and he sounded very positive and confident about that. So I don't think that there's anything to say here other than it's going to get done any day now. It might already be done by the time you're watching this video. It might be done before I publish it. So every indication is that we're on our way. He was also asked about Kenny McIntosh, and he basically just said it's a tough injury. He didn't really go into any detail about a timeline here, but it sure sounds like his career as a Seahawk is done, and maybe his career in the NFL, because it has now been 1 year, as Dan Viens points out here, since he got hurt. So it seems like the Kenny McIntosh thing is just going to end before it really started, and that's too bad, but I don't think there's room for him on this roster anyway. He did talk a little bit about Charbonnet a little bit as well. Didn't say anything too specific here. Phenomenal job. Attacked the heck out of the offseason. Rehab, as you would expect. The returns have been what he deserved. He's really put that work in. Really excited about where he is. No timetable. So still no indication of when he might be able to take the field again, which isn't surprising. But he's kicking butt. I think he'll probably miss the first 6 games. That's my best guess. But no concrete timetable yet. And final little note here from Crabtree. Dante Fowler did not do anything today. Cautionary. He will be out there tomorrow, so not really much to hand off there. That's about it. Apparently Pritchett was on the field a lot because no Eamon, so that's notable. Maybe we're thinking about him occupying a little bit of a bigger role than we thought. And yeah, that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. And that is everything that I heard about yesterday at the VMAC. Now we've got another practice today. Let's see what we get.